The path is your own journey.
Right.
The initiate has to go on its own journey. And you can't take nothing with you. And you at the goddamn crossroads. And the crossroads is, are you ready to go to the next level?
Yeah.
Because guess what? I can't take you to the next level. You got to make that decision.
What's dangerous is when the universe pick you and you put on the magic glasses. There's rules that go with them. You can never take them off. You never see things as they're supposed to be. You see things as they are. You can never force nobody else to wear them.
Alright, so we back from YouTube suspension. They suspended the channel for a week. First they gave me a warning on a video I did. They removed the content. So I went back and I censored the content. I doctored the content up, thinking that nothing would happen, and then they struck the channel and put the channel down for a week. So we earned our first strike. Gotta clap it up for that. We earned our first strike in the Matrix. You feel me? And I'm not the only person they gave out strikes to that particular week, because everything is about timing when we're talking about spiritual attacks too. That's what make it a spiritual attack. It's the timing of it. We're gonna get into that. So I saw that a lot of other content creators with way bigger channels than this got reprimanded, got a lot of videos took down, they got strikes, they got put out for 2 weeks, they got their second strike, things like that. And I realized why a lot of people wouldn't look at that as a spiritual attack. And at first I didn't either. I just looked at it like, oh, okay, well, I put this type of content out, this would come with it, this the platform and shit like that. So I looked at it like that at first, but it's the things that transpired during that week that showed me that, you know, we leveling up and we under attack, and you got to always stay ready and not be getting ready. But I do understand how a lot of people want to look at something like that or a lot of the other shit that I'm going to say as a spiritual attack. And the reason why people don't even believe in spiritual attacks or view things as spiritual attacks is because a lot of people are not on their own unique path. A lot of people not doing something that's different, something that's new, something that's challenging. This matrix construct, something that's putting glitches in the matrix and shit like that. A lot of things we speak about on this channel is soul serving. And you know, this construct don't fuck with that. So I understand why a lot of people don't look at it like that. They look at shit like a coincidence. And sometimes it's good to write things off as a coincidence so you can just keep it moving. But then there's other times when you have to stop and say, that's interesting that this, and this is happening at this particular time. Now, the difference in myself and people like you that's listening is that we have chosen to walk a unique path. We have chosen to be ourselves in a time where people just doing what they told. So most of us have deadlines. Most of us have goals. Most of us have somewhere we got to be, something we got to do, time constraints, contracts, things like that. And once you are in that realm of having, you know, just having to be responsible, being a creator, being just doing your shit how you do it and orchestrating your mission, right? That's when you notice the spiritual attacks, because you're walking on the path and you have direction, you have guidance, you connected with your intuition, and you notice the spiritual attacks more because the closer you get to your goals, the closer you get to your deadlines and things like that is when these things start to transpire to knock you off your path. So the energy that came in last week had an intention on it. All energy has an intention behind it. We got to learn how to read it. How do you learn how to read the intention behind energy? Well, first you got to anchor and ground your own energy and your own intention so that you know where the fuck you at in the universe. You know what you radiating and things like that. You know your purpose, right? First you start there. Once you're there, things that are in total opposition to that are going to stick out like a sore thumb. So the intention of this energy was overwhelm, distract, occupy. So I stood in the energy and I had to feel the energy out. That's the thing about real spirituality. It's energetic. You don't just hate something or dislike something. You might just be indifferent from it, but at the same time, you're willing to indulge in it to a certain degree so that you know firsthand what it is. And it's not just a concept to you. So I had to almost embody the energy. Let's say transmute. I had to transmute the energy, and in doing so, the intentions came to me clearly of what the energy was. Also, I felt jealousy in the energy, envy in the energy. It was an outside looking in type of energy. And I'm not even going to spend too much time on this shit. I'm just going to say what I got to say and go ahead. It was a outside looking in energy. So it was a pest like energy. Pest are outside entities. When you're in your home and you see any type of thing that walk on 5 legs, 6 legs, a pest, a bug, something like that, it doesn't belong in your environment. So it's something that's from the outside coming in and trying to make room on the inside and making the inside uncomfortable and forcing you to engage with it or trying to force you to accept it as a part of the environment. Because, you know, some people just, they okay living with rodents and living with bugs, and they just make it a part of their environment. So this energy was a pest-like energy. And it was coming through actual bugs in the environment. Because I clean like every 1.5, 2 months, I do a clean sweep in the house where I spray everything down. I move everything back, the stove, the refrigerator, couch. I turn everything upside down, get in every corner. From ceiling to floor. And it was a time that I needed to do that. I will say that. It was well overdue. So I've been so busy lately, I haven't even been able to put all my energy into cleaning the house how I need to when I'm talking about this deep clean. So it was a time where pests could infiltrate. So I noticed the pest-like energy coming through actual bugs in the environment. And then it started to come through people. And it really had already been coming through people, but I had to look back in retrospect. Sometimes things go over our head, and that's why timing is important. Because then when you get the cue, like, oh shit, the timing, you be like, oh shit, okay, something's going on, and you start to look back and you be like, oh, okay, this is why this happened, this is why that happened. So I had one of those moments, and the intentions from these people was to just get in where they fit in, you know, kind of sneak in. There was a lot of people as of late that me and my team, we've been meeting with, orchestrating some things. And you know, sometimes a person that just brings someone with them that wasn't invited, shit like that, pest-like energy, an outside entity sitting at the table on the inside getting intel. It was that kind of energy. And like I said, along with it, it was a jealous spirit. It was an envious spirit. It was a spirit that ain't going to even try to raise up, but try to knock you down. We got to remember, we wrestle against flesh and blood. So you can't get mad at your friends, can't get mad at your family. You got to direct your energy at the entity that's behind that vessel. And so once I felt the energy out, of course, it's time to move forward. It's time to start to do pest control. It's time to look at what's around and look at what has been coming from the outside in and just do inventory and strengthen the shield. You know what I mean? And this is necessary for those of us that walk our spiritual path. You feel me? It's necessary. It's necessary so that you reaffirm who you are. What's your reason for being here? What's your purpose? That's what spiritual attacks do. I felt a lot of energy just being blatantly aimed my way, my team way, my family way. And it was, like I said, it's just a vicious spirit. It's just a spirit that really just want to see you fall. It want to see you off balance, off kilter. It wants you to question yourself. So what this spirit do is it uses your power against you, make you question yourself. So I start having thoughts about what I coulda, shoulda, woulda did in the past. Started dwelling on things. Started feeling shame and guilt and shit like that. You got to be careful when you get in those spaces not to dwell there. You're supposed to be students there, but not dwelling in. So I found myself dwelling there. I found myself anxious about the future and found myself being overwhelmed. So to neutralize that energy, I had to stay still for a second. That's what you do. When you feel overwhelmed, you neutralize it with the opposite energy. Felt overwhelmed, so I said, let me stay still and neutralize it. So once I neutralized it and I really felt what the energy was, I understood that, of course, there's no choice. We don't have a choice but to keep moving on our path. So spiritual attacks is like gnats. You just want to smack them out the way. Though they come, they get more and more inconvenient and more timely and shit like that. You gotta keep pushing. And you gotta be able not to question yourself. Because like I said, it will use your power against you. It wants to use your time and consume your time. Consume your mind, consume your heart, make you question everything. Use your insecurities against you and shit like that. And that's why I said the good part about it is it makes you reaffirm who you are, what you are, where you are headed. And we got to be able not to take it as such a direct hit and take it so personal. And definitely not take it as a victim. Because what's happening is as we rising up, we being seen by more spirits. We reach in spaces where our family didn't reach spiritually. We reach in spaces that our friends, our community and shit like that didn't reach spiritually. And we build in contentment and satisfaction, and spirits can see that. Remember, I'm saying spirits, not people. Because people get utilized by spirits. I had people from my past calling, trying to get in touch. People from my past trying to start up old, outdated arguments and hit me, inbox me, and all kinds of shit. And I was already on point, so I had to just step back and look back and say, wow. So once you notice it and you start to neutralize the energy, it really just gives you more of a direction and more reassurance on where you're going. But you gotta be able to engage with it and interface it and not look at it as an outside entity. Which it is, though. But you gotta be able to see it as a reflection of the things that you harbor within yourself. For example, I had a person inbox me and tell me how I should and shouldn't go about how much I pick my phone up and don't pick my phone up and things like that, right? And just put myself in, put me up for question and put my morality and things like that at question. And I realized that I do that inside of myself. I'm always asking myself, am I doing the righteous thing? Am I being fair? I'm always questioning that. Even though I'm bearing results that I am doing that, I always still question it. So this person was just an outside manifestation of me questioning myself, and I had to catch that and see that. And it was, remember, timing played a big part. Timing plays a big part in spiritual attacks. So in conclusion, we got to be able to look at the spiritual attack as a mirror. And we got to be able to look at it as a reflection and see the parts of ourselves that we don't have in order. The parts of ourselves that we have yet to ground, that we have yet to accept and things like that. And once we see that, once we recognize that it's us, that is our power playing out in front of us, then poof, you break the spell, you break the energy, you neutralize it, and you keep it the fuck moving.